Woo! What's going on, guys? Orms Forum coming at you guys there with another video. Today we're going to talk about the aftermath, week 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Ford Field to play our Detroit Lions. Um, bad game all around, guys. The Buccaneers go up 2-0, well 2-0 on the season. The Lions go to 1-1, 500 on the season early. It was 20-16 Buccaneers. The Lions could not get anything offensively, even though they put up a bunch of yards. In between the 20s, they were faltering when it got down to red zone play. They sputtered. Some coaching blunders were going on in this football game. Lots of fingers to point at. I know a lot of people want to blame just like one individual group, and some people, like to have an open mind and they see kind of the whole big picture. But this was a collective effort. I think with a loss, I thought the defense played very well. So I'm not really going to point any fingers at the defense. I thought when you hold the team to 20 points, especially at your own home, you should win those football games. So I'm kind of pointing this finger at the offense. Goff, Ben Johnson, some of those wide receivers, some route running, some play calling. Just sputtering in the red zone, like I said. Dan Campbell takes some blame for sure. Not all of it, but he does take some blame, and we'll kind of get into that. But let's kind of talk about the inactives and some injuries. I don't really talk about the inactives for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I will talk about the injuries, especially in game. They did lose nose tackle Vita Vea in this game with a knee injury. He never came back. They had guys like Luke Goddard. He was concussed. They had defensive lineman Kalijah Cansey with a calf, and safety Antoine Winfield with a foot. Those guys were already hurt. Those guys never dressed, but they did lose Vita Vea, like I said, which was huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Lions never took advantage of it, never understood it. Now with the Lions, they had a couple injuries. They had linebacker Alex Anzalone, who got a concussion during this game. He left the game. I was at this football game. I don't remember even seeing this. I remember somebody kind of telling me Anzalone's not playing, and I kind of went to that game. It was kind of a last minute thing. I had a buddy, whatever, who called me late Saturday night and said, "Hey man, I got tickets. They were fantastic seats. They were like $650 tickets for free." And I went to that game and I didn't even drink. I had one beer. I had absolutely one beer, but I never saw Anzalone leave the game, which was strange. And someone told me later on during that game. But we did lose him. We had guys like Marcus Davenport out, inactive. Safety Ifeatu Melifonwu still got the ankle problem. Cornerback Enos Rakestraw Jr., the rookie out of Missouri, got a hamstring injury during pregame warmups. It was kind of like 4 minutes before they had to kind of hand in their inactive card. And it kind of had the Lions scrambling a little bit, and he hurt himself during warm-ups. He just tweaked his hamstring, so he didn't dress for that game either. Healthy scratches, guys, which I think were healthy scratches. Not 100% sure if these guys got hurt during the week, but offensive lineman Giovanni Manu, the rookie out of University of British Columbia. Offensive lineman Colby Sorsdal, which I don't know if he was hurt either at all. Wide receiver Isaiah Williams, the rookie out of Illinois. Undrafted guy with an abdomen injury, but then obviously Davenport, like I talked about, with the groin. So we had some injuries. We had some guys out, especially Anzalone leaving the game, Davenport being hurt. They hurt us, I think, as well too. And losing guys like Melifonwu was always going to hurt too, because he is a playmaker back in that secondary. But let's get down to the stats, guys. Okay. Now we'll talk about the Bucs first, because they are the road team. That's what we do on my channel. We'll go with the offense. Quarterback Baker Mayfield was 12 of 19. He had 185 yards passing. He had a touchdown, an interception. He was sacked 5 times, 2 fumbles. He lost 0 though, but he did lose 2 fumbles. He recovered one himself, and I believe one of his old linemen, Justin School, I believe it was, who jumped on a fumble, so he didn't lose any, but he did have a couple of fumbles. He had a 63% completion percentage. He didn't have a bad game. He didn't have a good game. Made some plays when he needed to, though. Even with his feet too, and we'll talk about that in a second. But he made some timely throws. Didn't put up big numbers whatsoever, but he's a gamer. It's Baker Mayfield. He's going to make some nice throws. He's going to make mistakes, which he did a couple times as well too. But he didn't cost them the game. Now rushing quarterback Baker Mayfield led this team in rushing with 5 carries for 34 yards at 6.8 yards a carry. He did have a touchdown as well too. Running back Bucky Irving, the rookie, he was 7 for 22, 3.1 yards a carry. Running back Rashad White, 10 carries for 18 yards at 1.8 yard a carry. They had 70 yards total. They couldn't rush the football. Baker, your quarterback, you're not so mobile, but he can move a little bit. Quarterback leads your team in rushing, 70 yards, and you still lose the game. Like bizarre. Receiving, wide receiver Chris Godwin, he was 7 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. He had a very good day, 16.7 yards a catch, 8 targets, caught almost everything thrown to him. Next leading receiver was wide receiver Mike Evans with 3 catches for 42 yards, 14 yards a catch, 6 targets. They did a pretty good job on Mike Evans. Then wide receiver rookie Jalen McMillan, a guy that I was worried about. He did have 1 catch for 21 yards a catch, obviously, and just only targeted once. They didn't do a lot through the air. Like I said, 185 yards with Baker Mayfield. Godwin doing most of the damage, if not all. The Mike Evans a little bit in there, but they didn't do a lot of damage through the air except for Godwin. And from what I've seen, most of that game, we'll talk about it in a bit too. I didn't think I seen mostly Carlton Davis on Chris Godwin. Obviously, I think Terry Norton might have been on him a couple times, but it seemed mostly every time Godwin got a big catch, and every catch seemed like it was a big catch. It looked like it was Carlton Davis. I know the touchdown was it looked like it was on Amik Robertson. He kind of just let him run right by him. It looked like he was kind of maybe passing him off into the secondary, into someone. Nobody covered him, and he was wide open on a sideline straight. You know what I mean? A sideline fly, whatever you want to call it. Nobody around him within 10, 15 yards. Nobody within 10, 15 yards. He just walked into the end zone, which was really a bizarre play. It looked like a miscommunication. And we'll get into the defense a little bit later on too, which I thought they played well though, overall. The defense for the Buccaneers, safety Jordan Whitehead had 11 tackles, tackle for loss and a pass deflection. He was kind of all over the place. Servatia Dennis, linebacker, he had 11 tackles as well. Cornerback Jamal Dean, 10 tackles, pass deflection. Safety Christian Izien, 9 tackles, 2 pass deflection and an interception. Cornerback Tyke Smith, 8 tackles, tackle for loss. Cornerback Zion McCollum, 6 tackles, 4 pass deflections, and 1 interception. Linebacker Levante David did have 6 tackles as well. Linebacker Joe Tyron Shoyinka, 3 tackles, tackle for loss. Linebackers Anthony Nelson and Yahya Diaby had 3 quarterback hits each as well. Goff was hit 10 times. We'll talk about the O-line play, which I think most of the O-line played well except for Glasgow and I believe it was Ragnow. Glasgow and Ragnow didn't play very well at all. Most of the pressure came from inside, and we'll get into that too. I thought Sewell, Decker, Zeitler played well too. He had a big bounce back game from the Rams game. Now, stats for the Lions. Quarterback Jared Goff, he was 34 for 55, 61.8% completion percentage, 307 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 0 times, but like I said, he was hit about 10 times. Looked pressured a few times. Obviously, when you're hit 10 times, you're going to get pressured. Made a couple really bad throws. He did not have a good game. He did not have a good game whatsoever. Just because he threw for 300 plus yards doesn't mean he had a good game. He's got 1 touchdown in 2 games. He needs to be better. He needs to be better, especially in the red zone. The whole team does. And then punter Jack Fox, he was 1 for 1 with 17 yards on a fake punt with a pass caught by rookie from Utah, Sione Vaki. So, yeah. And then rushing the football, running back Jahmyr Gibbs was 13 of 84. No touchdowns, but he was running at 6.5 yards a clip. He was looking pretty good. He was looking explosive, broke a couple tackles. I thought they were going to use him a little bit more in the run game. And the running back, David Montgomery, only 11 carries for 35 yards. Did have a touchdown, though. 3.2 yards a carry. Thought they were going to use him a little bit more too. And then running back Jameson Williams had to end around, and he used one carry for 15 yards and 15 yards a pop. So we had 139 yards on the ground. Goff added about 5 or 7 yards to that mix as well. So we were running the ball well. And I don't know why we stopped. It was very bizarre. Receiving, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. He did have 11 catches for 119 yards. Had a huge game, 10.8 yards a catch, 19 targets. Goff was looking for him all day. He got a little banged up during this game as well too. It was like an ankle injury. Looks like ankle, calf, whatever it is. Hopefully it's just a minor contusion. And then wide receiver Jameson Williams, 5 catches for 79 yards. Another productive day, 15.8 yards a catch. He was targeted 11 times as well. Running back David Montgomery was 4 catches for 35 yards. Look, I'm glad they're trying to get him mixed in the passing game. They didn't do it as much last year. Hopefully it's a little bit more this year. At 8.8 yards a catch, 4 targets, caught everything thrown his way. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond, 3 for 27, 9 yards a catch. Targeted 4 times. He was more involved in week 2. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs, 7 catches for 22 yards, 3.1 yards a catch. Caught all balls, caught all his targets at 7 apiece. Then running back Sione Vaikai, like they talk about, the rookie out of Utah, he caught 1 ball for 17 yards, 17 yards a catch, and it was on a special team fake, with them pretty deep into their own territory, and they went for the fake again and got it. Jack Fox threw a dime right to Sione Vaikai, and it was for a first down. It was ballsy by Campbell, and it worked again. Tight end Sam Laporta, 2 catches for 13 yards. He 6.5 yards a catch, 3 targets. Was not a big part of the offense. Again, had a worse game than last week. They just kind of blanketed him pretty good. They didn't. The Goff wasn't looking for him much. I don't really know what's going on with that right now. And then wide receiver Tim Patrick, who got elevated. He had 2 catches for 12 yards, 6 yards a catch. Targeted 3 times. His first catches since 2021. So apparently they're going to start involving him a little bit more. He's a big target at 6'4", 215 pounds. Let's see how that works out. Then defense, safety Brian Branch. I thought he had a really good game. 6 tackles, 2 pass deflections. He had an interception. Linebacker Jack Campbell had 6 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. I thought he played well. Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson was an absolute man-possessed. He had 5 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, bunch of pressures, 5 quarterback hits. He was just all over the field. He was in his zone. He looked fantastic. Linebacker Derek Barnes, 5 tackles, pass deflect. Missed a couple tackles though, but I thought he had an overall decent game. Cornerback Carlton Davis, who I didn't think had a good game at all. 4 tackles, had a pass deflection, I believe it was. Late in that game, that kind of got the Lions the ball back on offense, but he didn't have an overall good game. Linebacker Alex Anzalone, 4 tackles before he got hurt. Defensive lineman Levi Onwuzurike, 4 tackles and half a sack. He's starting to get some pressures. He's playing well right now. Defensive tackle Lee McNeil had a tackle for loss, some pressures. He needs to get going with the sack. So, and then cornerback Amik Robertson, he had a pass deflection. He did get burned on that touchdown though. I didn't think he had that great of a game whatsoever. Now, Jake Bates, 3 for 3 field goals, 1 for 1 in extra points, hit everything through the uprights, 35 long. He's getting the job done, Jake Bates. And now let's talk about okay, well, first let's talk about these team stats. I wrote this down. Maybe I'm going to start doing this every week. Team stats, Bucs, Lions. I used to do this before. First downs, we had 26, they had 14. Okay? Third down, we were 7 for 17. They were 2 for 10. Fourth down efficiency, 3 for 5 for us, 0 for 0. They never went for it on fourth. Rushing, we rushed for 139. They rushed for 70. Passing, we passed for 324. They passed for 146. It was more than that. It was like 185, whatever it was. And total yards, we had 463. They had 216. Sacks. They had 0 sacks, 0 yards. We had 5 sacks for 39 yards, net loss. Interceptions thrown, we threw 2, they throw 1. Punts, they punted the ball 5 times for 46 yards. a punt on average. We punted only twice for 33.5 yards a punt. Penalties, yards. We had 4 penalties for 71. They had 4 penalties for 35. Fumbles lost. They fumbled twice, lost 0. We fumbled no times, so obviously didn't lose any. Possession. They had the ball for 26 minutes and 7 seconds. We had the ball for 33 minutes and 53 seconds, and we lost this football game. We lost this football game, which makes no sense. This was a disappointing loss. I'm not going to press the panic button. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not going to get too silly about it. But it was a bad loss. You know, this was a game that you were 7.5-point favorites at home. You know, them coming in for the 3rd time in a year. You know, it's tough to win 3 in a row, especially against NFL football teams. You know, but you were favored to win this game, and you should have won this game. You know, there's a lot of people out there saying that we got out-coached. Todd Bowles out-coached Dan Campbell. Their OC out-coached our DC. Their DC out-coached our OC. No, I don't think it was any of that. Like, I'm going to give credit to where credit's due. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, they only played well when it came down, when it mattered. Now, that does make a difference. But in between the 20s, we handled them. We handled that team. It just, when it got into the red zone, we couldn't do anything. We were 1 for 7 in the red zone. Kicking field goals. I think we went for it a couple times. You know, you're not winning football games kicking field goals. Now, you talk to people about that. People get it confused with, fans get it confused with, you can win by kicking field goals. I never said you can't win games by kicking field goals. Like, you kick a field goal at the end of the game, if it's 20-20 and there's 3 seconds left on the clock, or it's overtime, you know, and you have a chance to kick a field goal, you can. But what I'm saying is, you're not winning football games just kicking field goals. It's very rare to happen. Yeah, it happened. Happened yesterday twice. Pittsburgh beat Atlanta, I believe, kicking 6-7 field goals. And I think that the Washington Commanders did the same thing to the Giants by kicking field goals. No, I'm not sure. No, Pittsburgh didn't play Atlanta. Pittsburgh played somebody. I don't know who they played. Atlanta plays tonight. But Pittsburgh beat somebody kicking like 6-7 field goals. Scored like 18 points. You know, that's very rare that's going to happen. You know, the recipe for winning, the winning formula is to score touchdowns. It's basically what it is. If your objective is to go out there and just kick field goals, and win football games, they'd be worth more than 3 points. But that's why field goals are only worth 3 points, because touchdowns are way more important. And it just seems like this fan base doesn't understand that. I'm arguing with some guy right now about it, how he doesn't understand when I say you're just not going to win by just kicking field goals. It's because it's very rare that it does happen. It's extremely rare. The objective is to go out and score points through touchdowns. That's the main objective. You know, unless you're the damn Pittsburgh Steelers, steel curtain, and you can stop anybody from scoring, then okay, put 9 points on the board. But that's not the case. We don't have that type of defense. Our defense has been better, like, for 2 weeks. I'm not going to bash that. Our defense has been much better. I thought they've been much better. This offense in Detroit is, I don't know how to describe it. I've heard a couple different versions, you know, through social media, radio. Well, some people will say this is a stale offense. It's a boring offense. It's very predictable offense. You know, it's not very exciting offense. You know, they're just kind of going through the motions. Now, we've had a couple big games from a couple big players. Amon-Ra St. Brown finally got on the board. J-Mo's been very productive for 2 weeks in a row. I thought Gibbs has been productive. Montgomery has been productive. You know, scoring touchdowns. He's scored 2 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. The Gibbs has got in the end zone running the ball. Gibbs is catching the ball at a pretty good rate. You know, we're a productive offense, but when it comes to the red zone, we are struggling big time, and we're not scoring a lot of points. You can't win football games scoring 16 points. And then when you get to the red zone and you go 1 for 7, that's even worse. I don't care how many yards we had. We had 463 total yards to their 216, and we still lost. That's because we don't score points when it matters. Field goals are nothing. You got to get in the end zone somehow. And that's what Tampa Bay did. They got in the end zone twice at least. One running with Baker, one throwing with Godwin. And we got one touchdown on the ground. That's it. So maybe our offense is a little bit stale right now. Maybe it is a little, I'm not going to say it's boring, because I don't think it's a boring offense, but it's just unproductive. Just because you get a bunch of yards and you accumulate a bunch of yards doesn't mean nothing. Okay? And then with this defense is playing excellent. I think they're playing very good football, much better than they were last year at this point. We have given up 20 points on both occasions. It's pretty good yardage-wise. I bet you that's up there with some of the best. That's got to be top 5. I know we're not top 2 or anything like that. There's a couple of offenses that are playing a little bit better, but we are producing. You know, we got a couple picks. We're sacking the quarterback. We're causing pressure. We need more help with the sack department, though. The one thing that does bug me about this defense, the one thing that will bother me about this defense is that they don't have another guy that's going to get the sacks. Levi Ruzarike might be a guy that, if healthy, who could accumulate 7 to 8 sacks, maybe, if he stays healthy. But that's it. Nope, we don't have anybody else. And Levi's a guy that I'm worried he's going to break his back every time he's out there. And I hate saying that because he's a Band-Aid. But he's a good player. He's showing he's a second-round pick right now. He's playing very well, Levi Ruzarike. You know, he's not flashing huge, but he's making plays. And I think overall we're making plays. I think our secondary still is a work in progress. Carlton Davis needs to be better. Terrion Arnold needs to be better. He's way too handsy. He needs to be better. Amik Robertson had an off game. I thought he played better the week before. You know, it'd be nice to get Malafonwu back. You know, I think our secondary is still a little bit of a work in progress, especially these corners. Arnold needs to be much better. I know he's a rookie. I'm not going to bash on the kid too much, but he needs to do something about those hands. He's way too handsy. He's got like 3 pass interferences in 2 weeks. He had a 15-yard face mask. He just needs to be smarter. And I think he's a good player because you see the coverage that he has. I thought he did a pretty nice job on Mike Evans. You know, he let up a couple passes to him, but all in all, I thought he did a pretty decent job that game. I know he had a low PFF score, but PFF is not the gospel. I think he did mostly good work. I really do. Except his hands. He's too handsy. That was his problem at Alabama. He was very handsy, and you're going to get away with that when you're Alabama and you're in the SEC. You're going to get away with it. He has to realize he plays in the NFL now. And I know he does. And I know he's going to get better. I know he's not Jeff Okuda. You know, he's struggling a little bit right now. And then let's talk about Dan Campbell and this coaching staff. I love Dan Campbell. I love Ben Johnson. I think what's his name? Aaron Glenn is doing very well. You know, who's kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat, but he's on the warm seat a little bit. Aaron Glenn, he's always needed to be better every single year, and it seems like his defense is getting a little bit better. I like what I see so far. But Dan Campbell, he admitted that he made that huge blunder at the end of the first half with the fake spike, trying to get the special teams unit on at the same time. You got 17 guys on the field. That's going to be a flag every time because they're trying to spike it. And then you're trying to get the special team unit on at the same time. You got to have patience. You got to let those guys snap the ball and then spike it into the ground. Dave Phipp, the special teams coordinator, he's part of that as well. He needs to have his guys ready, sitting there on the sidelines, ready to rock and roll. Whoever needs to go in for the special teams field goal kick. You know, Campbell will take all the blame for that, and you know that's just the way he is. He's a head coach. He's going to fall on the sword. He's not going to let anybody else take the blame but him. You know, and looked like he was getting emotional again talking about it because he felt that really ruined their chances of winning that football game. And maybe it did. But in the same breath, on that play just before, Goff has no business throwing that ball in the middle of the field with 7 to 10 seconds left and throwing it in the middle of the field where St. Brown catches the ball, can't get out of bounds, you have no timeouts, now you're scrambling to spike the ball. Throw it away, Goff. Throw that ball away. Somebody should be telling him that in his ear, and I don't know if somebody is. I don't think we ever got that from him. I don't know if anybody even asked him that question. That'd be the first question I would ask. Is Ben Johnson telling you to throw that away, or is he telling you to throw that in the middle of the field? Because that's a terrible, terrible decision by Jared Goff. It's a bad decision. Throw it away. Then you kick the field goal, and I think it would have been tied going into the half, or we would have been down by 1, whatever it was. But then you can't predict what's going to happen down the road, though. You can't predict what's going to happen. People say, well, we lost that game because of Dan Campbell, because we were down by 1 and we would have held him. No, you don't know that for sure. But Campbell does take some blame for that, 100%. And the other thing that I was kind of curious on what Dan Campbell didn't do was when he punted when we were on the Bucs 41-yard line. You have a kicker that has an absolute howitzer for a leg. It was a 59-yard attempt if you would have attempted it. And he came out and said, well, he goes, we talked about this during the week. And he said if that situation was to arise, we were punting. Okay. So then you don't trust Jake Bates. Because your defense was playing pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. So I don't know why you wouldn't attempt a guy that has a 62, 63-yarder under his belt. I know it's in the XFL with the Michigan Panthers, but he still does that. He has an absolute bomb for a leg. So I don't know why you wouldn't attempt to take those points. That's bizarre to me. Where you got guys, I watched a guy yesterday that played for the Houston Texans, Fairbairn, whatever his name is. He booted a 59-yarder. He kicked a 56, 59-yarder, whatever it was. I think he hit 2 of them, 2 50-plussers. He has the leg. He's at home. He's in a dome. He's almost automatic in a dome. So those two blunders, I think a little bit are on Campbell for sure. And I'm not saying he's taking points off the board for sure, because a 59-yarder isn't a guarantee, even though I would have put Bates out there. I would have. But I'm nobody. But you have a kicker that has a leg, that has the distance, that can do it. It's not like oh, does he have the leg? No. He's got that leg. Just like, will he kick it? That's it. And then the blunder at the first half, whatever, man, talk about the spike and then like the attempted spike, the special teams unit flying on there while they're trying to spike it. That's on Campbell, 100%. But this loss is on the offense. I don't care how much yards you get, rushing, throwing, total, it doesn't matter. If you don't score touchdowns, there's a chance you're going to lose the game. A very good chance, by the way. An extremely good chance you're going to lose the game. You have to score, especially when you're at home. You can't score 16 points at home. Your defense gave you every opportunity to win this football game by holding the Buccaneers to 20. So I put this on the offense, and I'm not just going to put it on Goff, but he was not good. He threw a lot of balls in the dirt. He threw a lot of balls when you needed 6 yards. He'd throw it 4 yards. You need 8 yards. He hit the guy at 6 yards. And that's route running too. That's on Gibbs. That's on the wide receivers. That's on Montgomery. That's on everybody running routes. Run to the sticks. Run to the sticks. Run to the marker. I know, easier said than done for me, sitting behind like a desk, like a bar, 60 pounds overweight. Easy for me to say that, right? But it's pretty common. You're going to have to, that's what you have to do as a unit. You have to do that. It's frustrating. This was a frustrating loss. But I'm putting it on the offense, the whole offense. I thought the O-line was pretty good. Except for Glasgow and Ragnow. They were very bad in this game. I thought Sewell and Decker were excellent. Zeitler had a beautiful bounce back game. But like Ragnow and Glasgow gave up, I think, total 11 or 12 pressures themselves. No sacks. They didn't give up any sacks. But then when the pressures came, Goff panics and he throws the ball up for grabs. And he did it twice. Goff should have been picked off 4 times. Let's be honest here. He should have been picked off 4 times. I think their corners dropped two easy balls. 1 for sure. 3 or 4 times. So he had a bad game. He had a very bad game, and that's 2 in a row. They need to smarten up on offensively. Now, they have the tools. They have the weapons. They have the OC. I think we have the quarterback. We have all the old line. We got everybody to do it. Just do it. It's time to buckle down going into week 3, and it's time to do it. Up next is the Arizona Cardinals. And I think defensively, like I said, I thought we played well. Secondary, still a little bit of a work in progress, but I thought they weren't too bad. I thought Carlton Davis was bad, though. Meek Robinson wasn't that good. Terrion Arnold, too handsy, but he seems like he's getting better. I like the safety play. The D-line is playing a little bit better. Need more pressure from other guys except Hutch. Let's go. We need other guys in there. But I thought their linebackers, I thought, were playing well. We did everything. We played the run well. I thought we played the pass at a decent clip. The defense is holding it down. 2 weeks in a row, they've held it down. They're giving up some yards. They didn't give up a bunch this game, but they gave up a bunch of yards in the first game. But this game, they really didn't. But they gave the offense every opportunity. I'm putting this on mostly the offense and like Dan Campbell and the coaching staff. It's just it is what it is. That's reality, and that's going to happen. But they need to tighten up. So that's it, guys. I'm 31 minutes in. It's going to be 32 in a second. But I appreciate it, guys. Lose this game 20-16. Home game, 1-1. NFC matchup that we lose. I don't like it. Now we're going to Arizona. I believe it's a 1 p.m. start. I don't know if it's 1 or 4. I think it's 1. Don't quote me. But we're going on the road for our first road game of the year, going against Arizona. Arizona has played tough against Buffalo, and they absolutely dismantled the LA Rams this weekend. Dismantled them. So you might be a little bit shocked about what I'm going to pick this week for this football game until I see some improvement. But thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Come on, guys. Detroit versus everybody. Grit. We got to get this game going, man. 1-1. No panicking yet, but time to tighten up a little bit. Go Lions. Boom.